Greetings, beloved. I'm Dr. Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach here at the historic First United Methodist Church in downtown Elgin, Illinois, with another motivational moment from the Bible. These motivational moments are designed to help you take what you hear in church or wherever you get your spiritual nourishment at, but to take what you hear from church, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or even whatever you read in your private devotional time, to take those biblical concepts and to make them a part of your everyday life. If you have been tracking along with us, you know that we kicked off our April sermon series with a series entitled, Does the Bible Really Say? And then a whole bunch of what I think are really half-truths. This week, I want us to look at the saying, God helps those who help themselves, or a flip of that is, God won't put on you more than you can handle. Beloved, the truth of the matter is that's probably one of the biggest falsehoods of all. First of all, the Bible doesn't say God helps those who help themselves, or that God won't put more in you than you can handle. Those are probably the opposite of what God says. How do you know that, Pastor Felicia? Well, because there once was an apostle by the name of Paul who had a really bad eye disease that he was afflicted by. It was painful. It was hard. It was so bad. In 2 Corinthians 12, we're told that he prayed 3 times for it. He asked God, please remove this. Please take this from me. Please, please, please. And did God take it away? No. And so we pick up these words from the Apostle Paul, starting at 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 8 through 10. Paul, speaking of his affliction, says, At first I didn't think of it as a gift and begged God to remove it. 3 more times I did that, and then he told me, My grace is enough. It's all you need. My strength comes into its own in your weakness. Once I heard that, I was glad to let it happen. I quit focusing on the handicap and began appreciating the gift. It was a case of Christ's strength moving in on my weakness. Now I take limitations. Sounds like that's more than you can handle. With good cheer. These limitations that cut me down to size. Abuse, accidents, opposition, bad breaks. I just let Christ take over. And so the weaker I get, the stronger I become. Beloved, it is okay to say, hey, I can't handle it. Not only to God, but to those around us, our friends and our families. I know maybe some of you are like me who came from a family where you couldn't really say, I can't handle it. Or maybe you were the one that people always look to for an answer. I know I had to learn as a professor and as a teacher, as a pastor, to say to people, I don't know. Give me a minute to go back and research that or think about that or ask someone. It's okay, beloved, to say, I can't handle it. And there is no shame when God sends help to come alongside. Even if that help is just someone to listen to you gripe. Beloved, God never intended for us to go through things alone. In fact, the Bible is clear that those of us who expect to receive from God must surrender everything to God. We can tell God exactly how we feel. Don't believe me? Read the Psalms. We can bring our hurt, our pain, all that we are, and say to God, I can't handle this. Carry me, hold me, help me. You know, as I sit here, I think about the Apostle Peter. You know Peter, remember he gets out of the boat, it's kind of brash. Jesus, if that's you, let me walk on water. Okay, so he gets out, all big and bad, I can walk on water. And then it says he began to look at the wind and the waves. He started to sink. But I love how Pastor Stephen Furtick from Elevation Church puts it. He says almost immediately, Jesus reaches out and grabs Peter and walks back with Peter to the boat. He says the lesson that's to be learned there is that God has me in his grip. I'm never more than a hand a hand away from God being able to reach out and grab and pull me to himself. All throughout the Bible, we see when the people of God cry out to God, I can't handle it, God steps right in and handles it. And when those trials and tests come that we can't handle, but that we have to walk through, then God empowers us with Christ's strength to do what we couldn't do on our own. Beloved, it's okay. Doesn't mean you're weak. Nothing to be ashamed of. To say we can't handle it. Now, that doesn't mean that God's not going to try to mature us or make us stronger, or that there aren't some places that we might have to grow up in. Not saying that at all. But I am saying it's okay to say to God, I can't handle this. Help me. Help me. Help me. Or maybe if you're like me sometimes I say to God, do you know who I am? And I feel like I hear God say back to me, not out loud, but in my heart, yeah, do you know who I am? Beloved, he knows who you are. Do you know who he is? He can handle it. And when he does, people will see that it is God and not us. And God will get the glory. Isn't that good? I thought so. So don't believe the lie that God helps those who help themselves. Nope, not in the Bible. And so maybe a lesson in that too is not only just for ourselves, but when we see people struggling and we want to step back, not jump in, not do anything, maybe we need to be sensitive too to the places that God asks us to step in and help people when they can't handle it. Just saying. Well, this week's Refresh Your Soul moment, the song comes from Keith and Kristyn Getty, He Will Hold Me Fast. Jesus will hold you fast. And sometimes Jesus uses us to hold others fast. Beloved, it's okay if you can't handle it. I love you, and I'll see you next week. I am Dr. Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach here at the historic First United Methodist Church.